Iowa Live.
From the Carl Chevrolet Studios in West Des Moines, welcome to Iowa Live. I am Lou, and it is time to visit with attorney Kim Baer to give you some advice that you could really use. Kim, great to see you again.
Good to see you too, Lou.
Yeah, now this morning we're going to be talking about something that is very important.
Yes, it's something that we've been seeing a lot in our office, so we thought we'd just touch base. I mean, nobody likes to think about what would happen if you died or your spouse died, but there are some simple steps that you can take to make sure that you're ready in case something like that happens.
Now, not only you being ready, we're talking about your family and a lot of folks now, their parents.
Yes, yes. I mean, you know, you might have aging parents. You might, maybe somebody in your family has unfortunately had a diagnosis of cancer or something that you're a little concerned about. And so we thought we'd talk about steps that you can take with regard to a home you might own, with regard to your cars. We recently had an issue with regard to an RV, what to do about accounts, that type of thing.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. What about property?
Okay, absolutely. So one of the things I would advise, if you don't know if you own a property, you own a house, or maybe you own several properties, the easiest thing to do, if you don't know how you hold it, or just to check it, go to that county's assessor's page and look up your property, and it should tell you who the owner is. A good example would be, let's say you and I are married, and we bought a house, and we go and look, but the house is only in your name.
Okay.
One of the things that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to change that title using a quitclaim deed so that we add my name to the title, and it should be held in joint tenancy with a right of survivorship.
Okay, so why is that important?
That's important because if you pass away, the house automatically goes to me.
Got it.
If I pass away, my name's on it, it automatically goes to you, and we don't have to go to probate for the house.
Okay.
So, you know, nobody wants to go to probate, and the reason why we try to avoid probate is it's a lot of court costs, it's a lot of fees, and so, you know, just some simple steps now can hopefully avoid probate with regard to your larger assets.
Okay, so that we're talking really large assets like your home. Now, what about vehicles?
Yeah, so vehicles, so we recently had this issue because, you know, we go through a list of things with people, but we don't go out and do the work. I mean, we can do a quitclaim deed if you need one, but with regard to the cars, you need to pull the title. Does it say and, or does it say or? Or another example would be, let's say that you own a truck and I own a car, and we're married, and your truck just has your name on it, and my car has both our names on it, but it says and. It would be so much easier if your title said Lou or Kim, and my car said Kim or Lou, because what that means is when you pass or I pass, it's very easy to get a new title issued.
I never heard of that before.
Yes, and that's something, and don't forget the RVs. We just recently had a situation that we're helping a client with right now because nobody paid attention to the RV.
Okay, so or, you want the word or.
You want the word or. Now, if it's too late and somebody has passed, the DOT is very good about working with you, and they have certain requirements with regard to documentation. But what we find is that when somebody passes away, the last thing your spouse or your family really wants to be dealing with is all this hassle.
Okay, so let's talk about power of attorneys.
Yes, so power of attorneys, we offer two, or there are two types in Iowa. One is financial and one is for medical decisions. So, you know, it's not unusual that if you and I are married that you might have some accounts just in your name, or I might have some accounts just in my name. And it's nice for a power of attorney while you're alive. Let's say you go into a coma, or let's say you're in hospice or something like that. It would be nice as your spouse if I could access your accounts and write checks and things like that.
Sure.
Now, if you're not married and you have children, it also is nice for your adult children to be able to pay your bills and that kind of thing. I mean, maybe there's a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia.
Right.
One thing I always want to make sure people know, when we draft a power of attorney for financial or medical, we can put in there that it only becomes effective if a doctor says that you're unable to make decisions or a court makes that decision. So it's not like handing your son Joey your bank account and say, here, you have access now. I hope you do the right thing.
Yeah, which makes a lot of people feel good because they know that's not going to happen.
Exactly. It's not going to happen. And so then the same thing, you know, we've talked about this before with regard to medical decisions. It might be that maybe you don't want your spouse making those decisions, and the default would be your spouse. maybe you're not married and you have 3 children and it's your middle child that you really would trust, because maybe your older child really isn't around, or you're estranged, or whatever the case may be. So, and some people pick their best friend, or they pick their brother or sister. So if you want someone other than all your children to be able to make the decision together, and maybe they're going to argue, or you want someone other than your spouse, then you really should probably have a power of attorney with regard to medical decisions.
So many important things to consider, and so many questions. And then you have a chance for people to ask you those questions. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, just give us a call at the office, 515-279-2000. We're always happy to sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk about it.
Yeah, you can talk about that. You can talk about the cost for various things, like even living wills and things like that, too. So a lot of information available there. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Lou.
That's awesome. We will be right back. This is Iowa Live.